All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It's June 5th, 2024, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Ms. Strayer. Here. Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper. Here. And Mr. Capel is absent.
All right, we had a meeting last Wednesday, May 29th, and I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mrs. Cooper,
Second,
second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion?
There's just one item that I've brought this up before, but in the ordinance, it references that property being close to US 36 and it's not. So in the reading of the ordinance that we passed. Yeah. Thank you.
Good catch. Thank you. Any other edits or comments? Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Ms. Strayer. Yes. Mr. Martin.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Thank you. We are on the visitor section. Are there any visitors that wish to speak with City Council? All right, thank you. We are on to committee reports. Mr. Neff?
Yes, we had our parks meeting tonight. Few things that we obviously talked about, the 4th of July application from both the Civic for the parade and fireworks and the Chamber for the events on the square. Nothing really has changed, except there will be some limited parking during the parade to keep cars completely off the square and make it a little safer. We also did talk about the Memorial Park, and there was going to be some updates. We get to that page. For the weekend holiday burials, we're going to go through and just, there's no stated policy right now, but we're going to have them work with the staff to make sure it's scheduled and there's availability for that. We also are going through to make a little bit more formal documentation that's going to go between the funeral home and the city as to documenting the lots or plots, I believe, and making sure everything is well documented because we don't really have a process in place right now. We also did go through the whole park update. The Mad Scientist Associates did start the invasive species removal at Old Orchard Park. The survey at J.R. Smith Park is complete. The Old Orchard Park also, some of the trails were mowed out, and Grace Church of Sunbury is going to come through and kind of clean up the trail a little bit more. The reservoir, which is exciting, the benches are in place. The floating dock is out there, but still not completely accessible until the ramp is installed. And we've also added the town square to our monthly updates, which we're really excited about. And Warren is now coming up to offer free lunch to all the students. That's all I have. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
I
Mrs.
don't have
Cooper?
anything.
Nothing done.
Great, thank you. Mr. Grumney?
yes, thank you, Mayor. We had a services meeting tonight. Mr. Capel was not able to attend, so I had the privilege of conducting that meeting. Just have a few highlights. We talked about the 2024 street improvement program, and I believe it's on the agenda for this evening. CT along with city staff did their due diligence, and it looks like Kimcoat is a recommended vendor. And what's nice to see is all the roads in Sunbury that we're talking about repairing came well underneath our expected project total of $730,000 to $596,226. So good job in finding that lower price and a reputable company to do that service. We also talked about the Columbus Street parking lot, which is exciting. There's been some updates. It's gonna, I think we said 34 parking spots. Was that right? With, I think 6 or 7 mini spaces for golf carts or smaller vehicles. So That'll be good and add some aesthetics to the square there. We got a municipal and police building renovation update. Looks like we're shooting for sometime in mid-July for both the police station and administrative building to move in. A lot of moving parts going on right now, but after seeing some pictures, it's moving along nicely. And police station has a nice new coat of paint on the outside, looking pretty official, so that's good to see. Murray just talked about the Reservoir Park. We got a similar update about the ramp and the parking lot accessibility, and Daryl gave us a damn update, so that was good to hear. And then lastly, we talked about comprehensive and thoroughfare planning. Essentially something I think we're going to add in future service meetings, probably bubbling up to the council. Is kind of a road work network map that ties into our comprehensive plan, so we can see our current road network and give us kind of a vision to what maybe the future might hold as we look to develop into the future, and giving developers and the city an idea of an overall basic plan, so we don't get caught playing catch up on our road network. So I think that does it.
Great update. Thank you. Mr. Ray?
I do have an update, attending the Delaware County Regional Planning Commission meeting, and just a couple townships are still updating their zoning resolution. It's Berlin Township, Harlem Township, and Berkshire Township. The townships that are redoing their comprehensive plan is Shawnee Hills and Liberty Township. They are talking about a new comprehensive plan for Delaware, the entire Delaware County. And while we were there, there were several zoning, rezoning applications, and a couple of them were moved on for advancement, and a couple of them were not. A couple of them, I'll introduce to you the ones that did not, because it's kind of interesting to me. I think the reasoning behind both of them. You all are familiar with the Henmick operation. It's an outstanding place, and they're great for the area. Their present use is agricultural, farmland, brewery, event center, residence, and parking. Their proposed use is a brewery, farmhouse inn, and additional parking. They want to go from a They want to go from an FR1 to a planned commercial PC, and actually office use as well. So what was brought up to the group that was there, the Regional Planning Commission supports this development and encourages the existing uses to properly be zoned to the planned commercial and office district. The various uses are currently a benefit, bringing value to the township and to the general area and to the neighboring properties. In addition, the inn would be a positive expansion. What they want to do, for example, is they want the development of the Henmick Farm and Brewery and the farmhouse proposed would include a wedding center, event center for arts and fitness, banquet facility, short-term rental units, inn, a restaurant, bar, tavern, food services, agricultural fields, a warehouse, brewery, vineyard, distillery, retail stores, food, clothing, accessories, administrative offices, farmers market, and crosswalks with a paved parking lot that would bring you right into Kilbourne. And this is great. Everything, it's a lot going on. There were some residents there that said this would infringe on their properties. This development that they want to do did not coincide with the current use and the current zoning of that area. So the commission, based on the number of divergencies and the intensity of some uses and a number of proposed uses not listed, they denied this rezoning request And one of the main reasons is, and I think it's important to all of us, is that there was no master plan. So if they went ahead and accepted this zoning change, because there was no zoning plan, they really basically could have done all of that and anything they really wanted. So even though it's a great facility and they're doing outstanding right now, the plan is a good plan. Because there was no master plan pinpointing, we're only gonna do this, we're only gonna do that, we're only gonna do that. It did get denied because of the area. It's not suitable for everything that they want to do. So that one will come up again. And then the other one that I thought was interesting, the other ones got passed along and they're neighborhoods and they will be moving along. But there was one off of in Liberty Township. The Liberty Place subdivision is proposed to be developed in a single phase with 34 single family residential lots. It's to include mounding, screening along Hyatt's Road, multiple stormwater basins, public streets. It's a decent plan. The lots are they're larger than normal, than a real dense neighborhood, but they too had several neighboring parcels, neighbors that would be next to this planned neighborhood, and they were against it. They don't see they didn't want the dense housing around them. And because of the placement of the ponds, the electric lines, the neighbors that came out and said, we want a different plan, that also got denied. So just some interesting points about what's going on around town. And I think the dense housing is an issue for a lot of Delawareans. That's all I got.
Thank you. All right, we're on to the police report. DC Wade?
Paul Wade. Graham Paul Wade.
That's right. With pride. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. I'm going to turn the floor over to Officer Ramirez, our coordinating officer for our drone team. He's going to give you a mid-year update on our UAST. Thank you.
It's on. I'm gonna make this pretty short. Just want you guys here to update as far as the drone, how we utilize it. So year to date, we've had 162 flights with the drone. That includes training and actual missions. Out of those 162 flights, we've had 25.8 hours of flight time where the drone is actually in the air. We've had 11 missions with Matrice 30. Out of those 11 missions, they went from anywhere from missing persons to assisting in search warrants to locating suicide subjects and also water rescue in Galena, and it goes on. Then also with the Avada, we've used that at one time, one deployment, and that was in Galena, where we had to search a residence prior to law enforcement going in to make sure that the shooter was still not seen inside of the residence. As far as year to date, cost wise, after the initial purchase of the drone, we have approximately, it's $219, and that was for our remote. There was a defect in it. So there was a $219 fee, and that was to get a whole new remote for a trade-in. So we got a brand new one out of the deal instead of $1,200 was $219. And just to give you a quick thing as far as the drone, every mission that we go to, we might not find the person or complete the task that we go there for. But at the end of the day, when we leave that, it's still a successful mission, just for the fact that we're clearing ground that the officers on the ground didn't have to go in and put their life in danger to try to locate somebody in dark woods or anything like that. So, but if you guys have any further questions or anything, or would like any kind of reports or what missions we've had, just please let me know and I can get you a copy of all this.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Officer Ramirez?
I don't have a question. I would just like to pass on a big note of thanks to the police department and the drone program, because a family friend of ours, of the Grumney family, actually the drone was used. They had a missing person, family member, and the drone located that person. And so I was talking to them in Kroger the other day, and they just went on and on about how thankful they were for the Sunbury Police Department and the drone and locating the person. So thank you. And I wanted to share that. And I mean, he was extremely grateful for it. So thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. You see?
I just second the, being an administrator of it, they've taken the bull by the horns, to say the least, and provided a very professional service and a very successful service that without a doubt is saving lives. So thanks for the support in that. The chief has already prepared a report here. I'll just highlight a couple things on number one there in reference to the furniture that has been reclaimed, reallocated. That's coming to us from Delaware, as well as some of the new furniture. He has arranged the moving and assembly of that, and that is scheduled June 25th through the 28th. The flock cameras, they're on order, and the process is started with that as well. And a huge tip of the cap to Morgan Lawbacher. Officer Lawbacher challenged himself and went through a pretty rigorous tryout and assessment phase, oral board. There's a lot to it to join the Delaware tactical team. He's the first Sunbury officer in 20 years to successfully complete and join the Delaware County tactical team. So we're working through the integration of that to him to that team in his assignment with that. The promotional process, the assessment phase is complete. Scoring, that's the scoring and assessment of what the officers have done to this point. And Dana has the scoring, and she will be putting together some scores for us. We'll be sitting down. The next step on that is a meeting with the command staff and the chief to assess, to make sure that all metrics have been looked at thoroughly for each candidate, and then go from there. Then you got the drone traffic. That's it. Unless there's anything else I can answer questions on.
Questions or comments?
I understand there was a bet, so thanks.
Now, I did have one item related to the Officer Lawbacher and the Delaware Tactical Unit. I've seen that unit in person on live missions, and this team is a well-oiled machine, cross jurisdiction. I mean, from every township that has a police department, city, and the county, and the sheriff's office. You know, this team is highly skilled in a variety of disciplines, and I don't typically recognize individuals in the police department. I definitely think this is a total team effort, and you guys have such a great team. But Officer Lawbacher's persistence with this, attending non-mandatory trainings, just because he didn't meet the minimum requirement, he was still participating in the training and preparing for this. Also, seeing a mission that actually happened in Sunbury, you know, it was visible that, you know, we had leadership there. The chief was there. I was there, obviously just spectating. We had our complete officer force, but having somebody that knows our city, that travels the streets, that is leading a group of peers from throughout the county that maybe aren't as familiar with our jurisdiction. I mean, you can't put a dollar or value amount on it. I mean, it's invaluable to have that type of experience when leading these critical missions. So please pass along our thanks.
I will, Mayor, and thanks. Just to add on to that, you know, the fact of having that local person on that team does bring the local culture, the local specifics and details from that jurisdiction into that team, and it benefits them as a whole, and it benefits the community by them being a part of that. So a lot of times these teams are misconstrued as tactical, militaristic, and that's not it. That is so far from it. I was a member of one of these teams, and I will tell you, they save lives. There is no doubt they save lives, and they de-escalate a situation before they escalate a situation. So we're proud to be a part of it, and definitely proud of Officer Lawbacher for his dedication to this. Thank you.
We're on the administrator report, Mr. Hennessy.
So I'm just going to pull two items out of the written report that's in your packet. First thing I want to note is the service department staffing. We talked a little bit about where we are with that. We've been down 2 positions for a period of time. We have identified one candidate to fill one of the positions. That person starts a little over 2 weeks from now, so we'll be 1 short. We do have ongoing interviews for that additional position, so we're hopeful that we'll find another person and be able to fill out that staff. It's been a while since we've had a full complement of service department personnel. And then the other item I just wanted to highlight is Sunbury Mills emergency generator. We've been talking about this for a long time. I wish I could say that the generator was connected, but I can't say that yet. But I can say that we are getting very close to this. So we did receive grant assistance to basically put this generator in. This has been a problem, pump station, sanitary sewer pump station for us. We wanted to get this emergency generator connected. So the generator's in place, the concrete pad has been poured. We have established our gas line service account. So basically at this point, we're just waiting for the connection and the testing of the generator. And we'll, work with our friends at CT to kind of get this across the line, but we're close. And that's it, unless anybody's got any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Hennessy?
Daryl, sorry, I just one question about the cybersecurity training.
Yes.
I know you didn't cover that, but I was wondering, cybersecurity is one of those things that will keep you up at night if you think about it too much and read all the articles and stuff. As we talk about the budget, when it's coming up and stuff, is there a way we can discuss or consider budgeting some cybersecurity testing, consultant come in and test our system for viability and what we are as far as how secure we are? Because the likelihood is growing greater and greater that municipalities, schools, businesses, homes get attacked, and it's the new way of disrupting. And all it takes is one bad actor and we're shut down. So I'm just wondering if we could, look into that possibility, I guess.
Great suggestion. I will make sure that it's part of the budget discussion, upcoming budget discussions. Great, thank you.
Great suggestion. Thank you. Anything else for Mr. Hennessy? All right, we are on to the engineer's report. Mr. Whitey.
Thank you. If I could just did this. And on that note, I will not. You've got the report in front of you guys. Very little has changed from last week. The only thing I'll draw your attention to is the based on our discussion last week, I did change the right-of-way permitting section, and I pulled out those three items talked about, which is already on it. We're also just naming what they are. That is the blanket permitting for Columbia Gas, and they're going that with Rolling Hills, and actually we do that today. It's a lot better than where we're going now, so I think we'll continue to do that. We have the Columbia Gas betterment improvement, which I talked about last time. We'll need to rehash that, and then Cincinnati Bell / Alpha fiber permanent. We've gone through that review against our draft sign guidelines, and I'll get ready to send that back to them for review. But also, that's the main thing on the report is the difference in the right-of-way permitting. Happy to answer questions about that or anything else that's on the report.
Mr. Whited, any questions or comments for Mr. Whited? Thank you, sir. All right, we're on to resolutions. No third readings, no second readings, no first readings. We are on to ordinances, third reading, ordinance number 2024.12, an ordinance authorizing the expansion of the city's community reinvestment area number 041-586-618-01 and amending city resolution number 2006-04 and declaring an emergency. Looking for a motion on the emergency.
Motion on the emergency.
A motion by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mayor St. John?
Yes.
Mr. Ayer?
Yes.
6 yeas.
Motion on ordinance 2024.12.
A motion on the ordinance by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mayor St. John?
Yes.
Mr. Ayer?
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, ordinance passes. No second readings. We have two first readings. First reading of the first reading is ordinance number 2024.13, an ordinance awarding the contract for the 2024 City of Sunbury Street Improvements Project to Chemcoat and declaring an emergency. might need a little bit of an introduction. This is fast tracked and we're saving about $130,000. So congratulations, pending the passage of the city council, no pressure.
So those are some of the key points. So on packet page 24, we do have a list of the bidders who submitted a proposal to do the street program in the city this year. The lowest and best bid is from Chemco. We've done the due diligence on that, and staff recommendation is for council to authorize the contract for them to do the work. As the mayor indicated, the total bid of just under 596, just a little over $596,000 is below the $730,000 estimated cost that we had put out. So we think that this is going to be a great project. It does include a requirement to complete Miller Drive, North Miller Drive, so that it's done prior to the school, the start of the next school year. And the substantial completion for the project is mid-September for the other streets. And so with that, like I said, Mayor, we'd like to move forward.
Any questions for Mr. Hennessy? We're looking for a motion on suspension of the rules.
Last year, was there like an issue with that timeline? I'm trying to remember, like, did everything get finished right before school or did it get finished at the
Did not.
It
It
did
was
not.
pretty painful.
It
It dragged on for a while.
It did.
We addressed that with this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's the bidders were under the requirement that they must complete the North Miller Drive portion of the project. So that's basically from Cherry Street north to where the school drive begins.
The most
So that's-
painful job.
That's mill and fill. So it's removal and replacement. It's also concrete work on the gutters, curbs, those types of things. All of that must be completed by August 14th. Or there's a penalty to the contractor for failure to perform. So that was not in last year's proposal or last year's contract. It is in this year's contract.
Live and learn.
Right.
Well,
This-
we did try to facilitate the completion of it last year around the school schedule. It didn't work with the contractor. Yeah, I think we're in a better position this year.
Good.
I don't want to give Dan White too much credit. Got to keep that guy on his toes. But I think he was right. With the earlier we got the bid, the better pricing, the better deal structure in general. I mean, it makes it more flexible for the contractor as well.
Yeah.
When we're not totally dependent on the OPWC. So I guess the blessing or the silver lining that came out of not being awarded state money to help, we had a good budget. We had a good plan. We were efficient on our revisions of that plan. And we were able to get out to market quick before, supply and demand. There's more demand than there is supply. So we're kind of one of the first in. So I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Make a motion on the emergency.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers.
Yes.
6 yeas.
I will make a motion on ordinance number 2024.13.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Ayers.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right. Another first reading ordinance number 2024.14, an ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 298.398 plus or minus acres of land located in Trenton Township, Delaware County, and owned by Forrest J. Hale, trustee or successor, trustee Forrest J. Hale Living Trust, Marilyn R. Hale, trustees or successor, trustee Marilyn Hale Living Trust, and John E. Evans and Linda K. Evans, husband and wife, declaring an emergency. This is a first reading. I don't believe we're looking to pass this tonight. We do have someone representing the applicant here tonight. If you have any questions on this topic, but this is just a first reading. Any questions or comments at this point? Okay. And this, we have seen this about 60 days ago, correct?
Yeah, so this has gotten a resolution for services. It's come before council. Then it went to the county commissioners. They've approved the petition. And now we begin our process to accept the land into the city. So
Excellent.
that's where we are.
All right. That is it for legislation, new or unfinished business. Let's start with facilities project, police department, quote for IT services and hardware.
So in your packet is a quote we received from our consultant, the city's master consultant for IT services, Edge Technologies. Part of the facilities project includes not only the renovation of the building, but also the equipping and furnishing of that. We talked a little bit about the furnishings. This is basically to put the technology components in place so that the computers are connected to the networks. The networks are connected to, you know, the fiber network of the system and the like. So this was contemplated from the very, very beginning of the renovation project. We did budget funding for these technology upgrades, and we're just now ready to proceed, if council approves, with sending out our consultant to begin to do this work. As I referenced in the services committee meeting, they are about to close up the ceilings in both buildings. So now is the time to get these technology components in place. So with that, we are asking, council action this evening if you're inclined.
Any comments or questions? Would anybody like to make a motion on the purchase order or quote?
Motion on the purchase order for the IT infrastructure.
Is that the appropriate motion?
Now that I say
It
it,
says quote, but is this an actual purchase order?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, sounds good. We've got the appropriate motion by Mr. Grumney. Second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, we are on to new and unfinished business. Mr. Ayer.
I do not have anything.
All right, great. Thank you. I wanted to follow up on Mr. Ayer's comments last time. I did visit the candy shop. I love that place. And that met the owner. Oh my goodness, their story is amazing and gives you a lot of hope. Wow, they have the right perspective on life for sure. And just such a cool place. What a
It
great
is, it
use of
really
the
is.
space. So thank you.
I was just gonna say, if you're looking for something fun to do this weekend in Sunbury, the Sunbury Performing Arts will be having another junior musical. I know you've seen them before. They're doing Wonka Junior. It's at the high school. I'm not involved with it. My kids aren't involved with it, but I like to support them, and I think the kids are just incredibly talented.
They are.
So, if you're looking for
Also-
something to do, it'll be this weekend.
That's right. Also sponsored by Kenzie's Candy.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's a marriage right there.
It is.
That makes
No, I love it.
Yeah.
That is really taking off and wow, we have a lot of
A
talented
lot of
kids.
talent, Big Walnut.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
incredible. And the guts of those kids to get up on stage in front of hundreds of people, insane, like,
Oh, yeah,
bless them. Yeah.
totally.
Right.
Mr. Martin.
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Neff. All
Nothing to report.
right, good deal. All right, our next meeting is in 2 weeks, so you can have next week off.
Thanks, boss.
So enjoy
But
that.
that is a good reminder. I did highlight, remember, it's the Tuesday meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
18th.
Tuesday, the 18th.
You can have 13 days off.
Yeah.
That's right. Sounds good. Any other comments or questions before we roll out? Looking for a motion, Mr. Martin.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion by Mr. Martin to adjourn,
1 second.
second by Ms. Cooper. Discussion.
Is.
Take it.
Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer.
yes.
6 yeas, we are adjourned.